Hey everybody, it's Mark again, and we're going to try to do part two of repairing this Black Forest antique shield clock with both the porcelain face and porcelain dial and wooden plate movements. I've got all the parts cleaned up. The only thing that I don't have quite repaired is the chains. And I don't know, let's see if you can see this or not. A magnetic screwdriver. The chains are brass, as a magnetic screwdriver doesn't pick it up. Both chains. Now one chain is thicker than the other chain. This chain right here is thicker. However, the chain, I measured it, is 4 feet in length. And typically chains are 6 feet in length. This chain, the links are good on. This chain here, there's a lot of damaged links. And the chain with the damaged links is a different size, even though they appear to be, I haven't actually counted them, I'm just comparing the two. They appear to be close to the same links per foot. The smaller chain doesn't quite fit into a wheel correctly. The big chain I'm gonna have to turn the camera around. I need a TV monitor or something set up. I just don't see in this camera what y'all are seeing that well. You probably see it pretty good, but I want to make sure. As you can see in this, the bigger chain, if you slide the chain back and forth, there's plenty of room for play. And you want a chain link in between each tooth, which it has. But when you look at the smaller diameter chain, it's got the play, but it might work. I would have to just fix all the links and find out. And it is about, let me measure it real fast. The smaller diameter chain is about 4.5 feet in length. Again, they should be around 70, 72 inches in length. But anyway, we'll worry about the chains later. Right now, we want to try to put this movement together. Starting with the strike side, we put the strike side great wheel down, and this side goes to the rear. Remember, that's got the hole in it for that little bitty pinion gear that drives the count wheel. And then we have the second wheel, which has this arbor, that groove that I was talking about, that the a trip lever that goes into the count wheel has. I really should have put my parts together, I guess. Let me separate my parts. I'm sorry, I'm just not feeling too well today. On the strike side, you have this great wheel. You got the second wheel with that B-notched arbor. You got the third wheel warning pin, and you have the ply. Just 4 main gears. However, that ply with this pin, and this pin is a little bit bent. I don't know if you can see there or not. I'm hoping it will work. It has to catch this when it's all done striking. And then you have, of course, the ply. And then on the time side, you have 4 main parts also. You have the great wheel, you have the second wheel, you have the escapement wheel, and then the virgin crutch assembly. On the outs, and then the count wheel is all by itself, and then this section right here, along with this setup, all goes within this, what's known as a bridge. Now remember, the spring, the loop itself, the end of the spring goes down in that staple. And then on the very outside, you have the minute tube, the hour tube, and this gear right here, which I told you controls the hands, along with this compression washer. So as long as you keep your parts together as far as where they go in relationship to the movement, you should be okay. Now you have the strike side rear plate, which is this plate right here. This has to go on there. And you have to get the great wheel started which it is, and then line up everything else in position with the relative pivot holes as you're sliding the plate down in position. Starting from the great wheel, you work your way up, and I'm trying to do that on camera. But remember, I told you that the third wheel warning pin has to be in close proximity to that notch when it's all installed. So that's what I'm trying to do. And working my way, trying to get the ply over. But in doing so, the third wheel warning pin moved on me. But I still think that it is close enough. But the only way to find out is to put these other parts on. Remember, you have your gong, and the spring goes down into that wire. I'm going to put the nail into its hole so it doesn't back out on me. It's not really a nail, it's a piece of wire. Give it a little tap. Maybe push it down. They're all a little bit different. And you could use a regular nail. I'm going to flip this around and see if it works better flipped around. Everything came out on me. So I'm going to put it back in and then we'll get back to you. And I wanted to mention you could use Rodico to keep the parts in place until you get everything together. And you also want to put your gong in, it just says temporarily, to see where the tab that hits these pins is, because you don't want you don't want it to be hitting a pin, because when it goes into warning, it'll gong one time, 5 minutes till the hour, 25 minutes past the hour. You want it to be off of the tabs a little bit. So and of course everything moved on me. That's what happens when you do things on video. Sometimes it doesn't go as planned. Now it's time for the fly. And time to put the rear plate back on again. You already see me do this once. I'm going to get the camera out of my way and I'll come back to you. Here I have the gong on. I got this bridge started. I got a screw here, but some might question whether this lever, the hammer, goes to the left of this post or to the right of that post. And that's what your pictures are for. Here's my picture. As you can see, it goes to the right of that post. There's the post right here. I'll blow it up for you. It goes to the right of that post. And that's how dirty everything was when I started. It looks a lot better. Don't you think? I put the lever for the count wheel in, and I'm not happy where it's sitting. The brass piece is too far to the right. That let me just take it out and show it to you. This piece has to go into that notch of the second wheel, like so, when it's done striking. So I'm going to have to play around with it. And then this wire right here sits on top. If you follow this all the way around, you will see this wire right here. That is what lifts this. That wire here sits underneath this wire. So when it's in play, find something to simulate that wire. When it's in play, this lifts this lever, which in turn lifts this lever out of the count wheel but this has to go into that notch of the second wheel when it's done striking. So I'm going to have to mess around with that off camera and see how to figure it out. Typically in the past, and you could ask a friend of mine, I would take breaks, smoke breaks, and while smoking a cigarette, things would twirl in my mind, and I would come back with a great idea. Now that I'm trying very hard to quit smoking, I don't know what to do with myself when I'm taking a break. Taking this back apart because I wanted to see how this functioned. Again, this is the lever that goes into the count wheel. This lever right here. This lever, you could see the cutout section that goes into the second wheel cam. So the third wheel warning pin is going to hit on the end of this tab right here. So that's where I have to put the third wheel warning pin. And I've got Rodico and all that in there. So I'm going to put the third wheel warning pin in. If I could do this on camera. And then put some Rodico where it goes. Everything's getting in my way. It goes right there. Like I said, the third wheel warning pin hits that tab. So I'm going to put all this together off camera. But I just wanted to show you how it functions. If you don't have this all set up, your clock will continue to strike, or cuckoo, or chime. In this case, it has a gong, so it'll continue to gong. And so you have to set all this stuff up as you put the clock together. Now I have all the parts, these parts on, and I did one function test, but I'm going to do another function test. And as you can see, it's not stopping, and I'm pretty sure I know what the problem is. Remember I told you that that third wheel warning pin is bent, and I think that's the issue. And that could be going the wrong way. When I go the right way, it works. Okay, another function test. Lifting the lever from the count wheel. That went into warning. And do it again. Let me see. That is ratcheting, so this like I said, the third wheel warning pin is bent. It's working, but hopefully you can see the third wheel warning pin is barely catching the tab on the end of that lever. So, what to do. That tab looks like it's bent a little bit to me. So I'm going to see if I can straighten it out off camera. Give it a few taps. There's no longer a gap in that piece. So now the third wheel warning pin should hit the end of this. And this should go in that B of that cam on the second wheel. Now to put it back together. Now it's back together, and I do a function test by lifting this lever out of the cam. And it's working every time. Now it's time to put this brass piece back up here. Just like this brass piece. So I'm going to do that off camera. Here I have this pinion gear back on the great wheel. I put the pin through the hole. I have the count wheel on, the spring that holds the count wheel on, and the lever that goes into the count wheel. Now on this particular clock, it goes clockwise, where other clocks, it goes counterclockwise. And you'll see what I'm talking about here in a second. The ratchet wheel goes down. That's how it ratchets. So therefore, pressure has to go the opposite way. So when I trip the clock, that was the half hour. Now this should be, let me see, the 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I believe this is going to be 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And it stops. This next one's going to be 7:30. And it stops. Next one's 8 o'clock. You see how it's going clockwise? On a cuckoo clock, it goes the opposite way. And I didn't track. That was 8. This is 8:30. I think you missed it. And this is why you do these function tests. I'm not counting. I just want to see if it stops. I just want to see if it does the half hour. And it doesn't. So the count wheel needs to go one notch, one tooth to the counterclockwise area in order for it to catch the half hour. Or you could bend this lever out some, but I don't like bending that lever because you could break it. It would be easier just to move the count wheel. That's the hour. It looks pretty dang close, but I think I'm going to have to bend that lever because this should be parallel with the count wheel. That did the half hour, but you see how it's not parallel with the count wheel? I think I'm going to bend it some. I'm hoping I don't break it in the process. I might have bent it too much. There's the hour, and hopefully it goes the half hour. It might help if I put a weight and chain on this thing. I think I bent it too much. I'm going to bend it out some. I don't know my own strength. As in my other videos, this great big notch here is for the 12, the 12:30, the 1, and the 1:30, and then this notch here is for the 2 and 2:30. That's 12, 12:30, 1, 1:30, 1, 2, 2:30, 1, 2, 3. 330. So far, so good. So I'm just going to do a function test all the way around because this is the time to do it. I hope you're enjoying this video. And after I'm happy with the function test, then we're going to put the time side together. The function test did great, but part of the function test is to see if this lever lifts high enough for it to gong. So you put the minute pipe on and you turn it as you're putting pressure on the wheel. And as you can see, it's not lifting the lever high enough. Let me see if I could put some pressure on this and turn this wheel. Now watch the lever that comes out of the count wheel. You see, it's barely moving. So somewhere along the line, this lever got bent. Part of that is the wire that's part of this, that's connected to this shaft that lifts the count wheel, is not touching the wire that is attached to this to lift it. So I'm going to bend that wire some. Or I could bend it right here. Just, I don't know if you could see it high enough, well enough. Hopefully you could see the levers that's in there. Let me draw a picture. Stand by. It's a crude picture, but this lever right here is what this lever right here is. That cam catches. Here's the cam. This half circle here. The third wheel warning pin hits the tab right here on the end of that lever. This lever right here is this lever right here that has the wire attached that the minute pipe catches. This lever right here has a wire attached to it that goes underneath a wire that is attached to this lever right here. This lever, the functioning of this is what lifts this lever out of the cam to start the strike sequence. But currently, this wire is not touching that wire that comes off of this lever. So when this lifts, it has a little bit of space before it even touches that wire, and that is why the lever, this lever here, also has the lever that comes out of the count wheel. Anyway, I'm gonna that being the count wheel. And so I'm going to bend this lever to make that wire that's coming off of this lever here touch the wire that's coming off of this lever here. I'm going to say that again because I don't know if you've seen it. I'm going to bend this wire here in this area so this wire that comes off of this lever here touches the wire that comes off of this lever here that makes this lever come out of the count wheel because there's too much space currently. Okay, with me doing that, now I'm going to turn the minute pipe and watch the lever that comes out of the count wheel. As you can see, it comes out of the count wheel. However, now I have to check my minute hand to see if it's straight up and down on the 12 or on the 6 because I changed that. The clock will not function the way it currently is. And if you see, it will take one full revolution if it functions at all. And that's because this circle is not big enough. So I have to make that circle bigger now. I made the circle bigger. It might be in the way of the minute pinion. And the hand is not straight up and down now. It's a little bit off. So I have to adjust it so it gets the hand straight up and down. I adjusted it, so hopefully you'll be able to see the hand as I turn it. I thought I had it adjusted. I think this hand is a little bit worn out. My fingers are getting tired. I can't wait to get back to the other numbers. There we go. Let's try this again. That was right on the 6. That was right on the 12. I was just turning this nut versus the hand. Like I said, the hand, it's got a little bit of play in it. So anyway, I'm happy with that. So now it's time to put the time side together. And I know why everybody was thinking, you can't put the time side great wheel in with the strike side great wheel in. Well, you can. You just have to know how to do it. You have to take the ratchet part off. And once you take the ratchet part off, it fits. Just like so. So now I have to put the pin that holds that ratchet back in. It's not my first rodeo, folks. Yes, I should, it makes it, I don't know, easier, less complicated if you put the great wheel for the time side in, but you can do it the way I just did it. But there's a pin that holds that ratchet wheel on, and I have to put that on. Just trying to do this on camera is the most difficult thing. So I'm going to do it off camera. I can't see in front of this camera to show y'all what I need to do. I need to bend the end of this pen around so it doesn't come out. Okay, the great wheel's in. So now I need to buy my other parts, put the second wheel in. I have to go underneath this board or it will not go in. There we go. The second wheel is in. Escapement wheel. And then the Burge and crutch assembly. And then the rear plate for the time side. And like I said, you have to get the great wheel started first. I have to take the count wheel off because it is in the way. The plate will not fit down with the count wheel. There's way too many parts in my way. Okay, let's try this again. Birch and crutch assembly. Do you see the trouble I have with the camera in my way? Okay, great wheels in. Second wheel. Escapement wheel. And lastly is the virgin crutch assembly. Which is nowhere near where it needs to be. I'm just trying to do this on camera and I'm having a difficult time. There, that's where it needs to be. But now I have to put the other parts back in because they came out. Second wheel. And I can't tell, but it looks like the second wheel bushing came out along the line. And I have no idea where it's at. So I'm going to have to put a bushing in the second wheel. The escapement wheel came back out. Anyway, I'm going to have to take this back out because the second wheel bushing came out of its pivot hole. It will not work. More to come. Okay, digging through my assortment of bushings, I found this bushing that is 5 millimeters in height, 3 millimeters in diameter, and 1.2 millimeters in center bore. You should have seen other videos of mine that talk about a tilt test. This is 1 millimeter in diameter, the pivot. But when I put this in, the bushing, again, trying to do this over on camera. When I put this in, the bushing, let me just hold the stupid thing. When I put this in the bushing, you have to consider the tilt test. It doesn't tilt enough that it's gonna mess anything up. Again, the inside diameter, the pivot diameter, is 1.2. This pivot is 1 millimeter. So yes, it is a little bit bigger. However, I don't have that many long bushings. And you need a long bushing to provide your oil sink. If you look at these other bushings, it starts here, it comes out here. And that's to allow for your oil sink. So I personally think that this will work, and that's what I'm going to use. Because currently, look at the tilt test. Tilted so much it fell out. Currently, the tilt test allows it to go down to the plates. Once I put that bushing in, it will not do that. So that's what I have to do next, but I'm gonna take a break. Again, I hope you are enjoying this video. There probably is going to be a part 3. I didn't realize how much it's taking. There's a lot of stuff that I wanted to cover, a lot of stuff that I wanted to talk about, especially on the strike side. And by the way, if I put the count wheel back on, when it strikes, you will notice that this lever bounces on the count wheel. Now, if it was a cuckoo clock, whenever it bounces on the count wheel, your cuckoo is coming in and out of the door. So you have to adjust this lever so it rides along the count wheel as it cuckoos. But because it's a striking clock, The only thing that does is the gong, the hammer hits the gong. Because it's a striking clock and it's not a cuckoo clock, it doesn't matter whether this thing bounces up and down on the count wheel as it strikes. But again, if it was a cuckoo clock and it bounces up and down on the count wheel, your cuckoo is going to go in and out of the door as it cuckoos. The only clocks that is supposed to happen to is a Schatz cuckoo clock, and that is how they designed it. And a lot of people don't like Schatz cuckoo clocks because the bird goes in and out of the door as it cuckoos. And there's nothing that you could do about it. And it's because the nature of the design. If you want to know more, I have a YouTube video on repairing a Schatz cuckoo clock. One last thing before I take a break. These are called cutting brooches. Not reamers, brooches. And you can buy a set like this on Time Savers for less than $20. I have a YouTube video that explains this guy that you could buy his DVD on eBay right now. It's called General Clock Repair. He teaches you how to put bushings in using cutting brooches. Not reamers, brooches. This thing is 3 millimeters in diameter. So I want to go less than 3 millimeters in diameter. Because it's wood, I'm going to push it in. This is about 2.5 millimeters in diameter. 2.5. Then the further up I go, the more it goes. So I want to use this and just ream it out to put that bushing in. Because it's wood, it's easy to do. And because if I go up any further, it's going to go in a bigger diameter. So I'm going to start on this side. I went through, so now I should be able to put this in. And I want the oil sink to be on the outside, which should be on this side. So I might have to go a little bit more, but because it's wood, I don't want to go too much. I'm gonna go a little bit more here. Just so I can get it started, and then I'll push it in. got oil all over this thing. It's not quite through. I'm going to push it in this way. Trying to see how much further I gotta go. Remember the tilt test? That'll work a lot better than what it was. So anyway, if I was still smoking, I would grab a cigarette. Time for me to take a break. Okay, I have the bushing in. I have the plate on. Do a function test. As you can see, it's ticking away. Now it's time to oil the movement before I put all the other parts back on. And how you oil your clock, it's up to you. I'm just showing you what I do. You could take a piece of wire and hammer the end of the wire, and that will provide you an oiler. You could take a toothpick. Because it's wood, it will grab the oil. And you would want to have a rag of some sort handy in case you get extra oil all over the place. But dipping the toothpick into the oil, and I use synthetic motor oil. What you use is totally up to you, but I use 0 W-20, I believe. Grab some oil, go around to each pivot, and all it takes is a drop of oil, nothing else. If you get oil on the movement, that's what the rag is for. Wipe it off. I'm putting a drop of oil on the spring that has to do with the hammer. That way it functions properly. Now on this side, doing the same thing. It's kind of the reason why those bushings that I showed you, they're long. It's to provide an oil sink for the oil. And then you want to put a drop of oil on the entry and the exit pallets of the verge. And I'm putting a drop of oil on these pivots for the gong, the lever here that goes up and down to trick the count wheel movement, and the pivot for the lever that actually comes in and out of the count wheel. Now it's time to put the front section on. Remember, we had this compression washer that goes down first, and then the minute wheel with minute pinion. And there's a washer that goes with that minute wheel with minute pinion, and I have to find it. But you have to put the hour tube on first, because that washer prevents that hour tube from coming out of its spot. And then there's a tapered pin that keeps this little pinion gear in place. I have to find the hole. And then, if you want, you can put the hands on, the minute hand on, to see if it is going to be hard to turn, or easy to turn, or whatever. And if it's too hard to turn, then the compression washer that I discussed earlier is too tight. If your hands drop as they rotate around, it's because that compression washer is too loose. So now I'm going to put a chain on the time side after I get rid of my oil here. Now you could put some lubrication on this minute wheel if you want, minute arbor. That's totally up to you. What you do is what you do, and what I do is what I do. It all works. As long as the clock works, that's all that matters. But what I want to do is put a chain on the time side and a weight, And I want to see if my minute hand is going to turn with the weight without a pendulum. I don't have a pendulum for this clock, but I want to see whether or not it's going to turn before I go any further. It don't ever get old. It sucks to get old. You can't see anything. But I don't need a weight. I'm just going to pull the thing and see whether it turns. I'm going to go ahead and put a nut on this so you can see it also. Because you want your minute hand to be able to turn. So right now it's at the 12, putting some pressure put the chain on the wrong spot. I'm sorry. It's been a long day already, I guess. I had it on the stripe side. So, putting some pressure on the chain, you'll see that it's ticking away, but we want to see whether or not the hand is turning. And I could tell right away that the hand is turning. Can you see it turning? It was on the 12, now it's on the 1. So we know that part is good. Okay, we still have to come up with a pendulum leader wire and a pendulum and some weights. So I'm going to estimate the length of that pendulum leader wire. This is another one of my Black Force shield clocks. It's the one that I told you I'm still working on. But you could see the length of the pendulum here. And this pendulum is got a flat bar with a pendulum bob that slides up and down on it. And it's together, we'll get you a measurement. The leader wire, the pendulum itself, is 14 inches. So I'm going to make a pendulum leader wire and then just come up with a homemade bob for the moment. And I believe that this clock takes 320 grams of weight, give or take. But we're going to do a weight test on the current clock that I'm working on. Doing the bucket test that I showed you in other videos. I have a YouTube video out there how to determine the weight of your weight. Using a simple bucket, add in some water until things start functioning. Now, first of all, I'm just playing around here, okay? So don't be getting all upset. It's not gonna stay this way. But I found this rock several years ago, and it reminded me of a pendulum bob. So I have it taped. When I say taped, I can move it up and down the pendulum leader wire. However, it works. And so with the beat amplifier on, it's pretty darn close. And I still have to come up with a chain for the strike side. Currently I have 1,500 gram weights on this movement. I still got to do a test to find out what size weights it takes. But I think that is pretty cool. You see that rock? It looks just like a pendulum bob to me. I tried drilling a hole in it, but with the drill bits I got, it wouldn't work. So there's definitely going to be a part 3 to this video. When, I don't know. I still got quite a bit to do to it. I hope that y'all have enjoyed this video series, and I hope that we learned something. I hope that you learned something from this video series. I hope that you hit that subscribe button, and may God bless each and every one of you. And there it stopped right there. And so why, I don't know. But like I said, I still got some tinkering to do with it. It is touching the left side of the foot. Let me stand by. I'm going to bend the crutch to the left because it's touching the left side of the foot. And I'm going to see if I can get it back in beat. How long it's going to stay in beat, I don't know. It's not quite there. I think I bent it too much to the left. But anyway, I hope y'all like this video series. God bless.